Hi everyone, welcome to the February 2011 edition of the nCircle Video VERT Alert. I'm Oliver Lavery, the Director of Security R&D at nCircle.
And I'm Tyler Reguly, Technical Manager of Security R&D.
Well, Tyler, we got a lot of vulnerabilities this month, but not a whole lot of really interesting ones. So maybe without further ado, we should go through what we got. So let's start with MS1103, the first of the critical vulnerabilities this month, the cumulative security update for Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I guess the most interesting aspect of this is that there is a zero-day patch. It's the CSS recursive imports that's in most of the popular exploit frameworks at this point, so definitely worth applying this patch as soon as possible.
But what's also noticeable is that noticeably absent about this that patch, right? The MHTML vulnerability that came out, I think, 2 weeks ago, still isn't patched.
Yeah, I would say that's to be expected, given how long it takes to QA something for, like, IE.
Yeah, and do the analysis. And that was a zero-day bomb that someone dropped on the whole community, so Microsoft, I'm sure, will have it resolved fairly soon. But
yeah, we can only hope.
Yeah, exactly. So next we have MS11006. The vulnerability in the Windows shell graphics processing could allow remote code execution. So can you explain this one?
You view a malicious thumbnail file where you have Explorer and thumbnail view, and code can be executed.
Right, so that would affect people viewing stuff on shares more.
Yeah, shares and web dev.
Web dev, right. And I don't know how many people use the thumbnail view, but still that's obviously a potentially really bad one. And then the last critical of the three is MS11-007, the vulnerability in OpenType compact font format driver could allow remote code execution.
Yeah, what to say here other than, once again, you're talking about previewing the OpenType fonts within Windows Explorer. There's no IE attack vector here.
It's interesting that OpenType has been something we've been seeing come up over and over again recently.
Yeah, the one it replaces is MS10091, I believe, so
yeah,
the last one was fairly recent.
Yep, seems to be a source of trouble, and a lot of vulnerability researchers are obviously capitalizing on that. So MS11004, also code execution, but only rated important. Vulnerability in IIS FTP service could allow remote code execution.
Yeah, it's not installed by default, the FTP service. This is the third zero day that we're seeing patched, 03, 06, and now this one, 004. It's really weird when you try and figure out how this one works, because it's IIS 7, FTP service 7, and FTP service 7.5, but the default for IIS 7 is FTP service 6. So while everyone is now very confused, Microsoft actually released a blog post walking you through all the versioning. It's definitely worth checking out. It's on the Microsoft SR&D blog.
So you would have had to have upgraded the FTP service independently by IIS.
Yes.
Right, that's weird. But this one's probably pretty important in the enterprise, right? I mean, there's a lot of FTP used to transmit CSV files around, shuttle data inside an enterprise. So there could very well be open IIS FTP servers in an enterprise environment.
Definitely worth patching.
Well, yeah. The next one's MS11-005. Vulnerability in Active Directory could allow denial of service. Always kind of scary when you see Active Directory.
This is a really odd one. The attacker needs to have administrative privileges on a domain-joined machine,
Right.
and then send a specially crafted packet, sending SPN notices causing a collision, which, if renegotiation of NTLM is disabled, could then lead to a denial of service.
So a pretty obscure set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Although they don't need admin on the domain, they just need admin
local
on the machine,
admin,
which is important.
Yes, that is important to point out.
Okay, zipping right along. MS11-008. Vulnerabilities in Microsoft Visio could allow remote code execution. Another important remote code execution.
Yeah, it's the only Office patch this month.
That's true.
That's probably the most interesting aspect of it. It's Visio. I don't know when I've ever seen Visio malware spreading. I mean, Doc, Excel, PowerPoint, but not so much with the Visio files.
Well, that's a good point, because Visio doesn't install by default with Office, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a lot of engineers would have it. I mean, designers maybe, but it's not on everyone's desktop.
Yeah.
All right, MS11-009. Vulnerability in JScript and VBScript scripting engines could allow information disclosure. Also important.
So we're talking about some memory leakage here with a malicious website.
Right.
I don't know, there's a whole lot to say beyond that.
Well, what you said earlier was interesting when we were talking about it, that this isn't in of itself important, but could be a really good catalyst. It could be used to get around ASLR or used with another vulnerability.
It could be a jumping point as you get enough information out of memory.
Right, to make something else exploitable. And I mean, it's important.
Yep.
MS11-010, vulnerability in Windows client server runtime subsystem could allow elevation of privileges.
So in the continuing these very odd sets of circumstances, here we're talking about logging into a machine locally, running an application, logging off but leaving that application running, and then capturing the credentials of the next person that logs in.
It's kind of a clever attack. It's not probable, but cool.
Yeah, it's just a really odd set of vulnerabilities that are being patched.
Okay. Well, let's keep going. MS11-011. Vulnerabilities in a Windows kernel could allow elevation of privilege. So this is fairly standard, right?
Yeah, especially crafted application, and you elevate your privileges.
Yeah, get kernel level code execution. All right, MS11-12, vulnerabilities in Windows kernel mode drivers could allow elevation of privilege.
I guess we could just say ditto to the previous one.
Yeah, right, except it's a driver, not the kernel itself.
Yeah.
MS11-13, vulnerabilities in Kerberos could allow elevation of privilege. Now that's kind of neat.
It is. It's interesting. There's two vulnerabilities. One of them is Windows XP and Server 2003, and you're talking about insecure hashing algorithms.
Really?
They're being restricted from being used.
Okay.
And then the other one is Windows 7 and Server 2008 R2. So you have the two oldest and the two newest. And with that one, it's currently somebody could essentially man in the middle and drop you down to DES, which is not a lot in the way of encryption, if it can even be called encryption anymore.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's
so
obfuscation practically.
Yeah, it prevents you from being able to use DES and downgrade to DES.
That's pretty neat. I mean, that again illustrates that people don't break the crypto; they break the implementation, right?
Yeah.
Neat little crypto breaks using improper implementation. I guess it was proper once upon a time.
Yes.
MS11-014, vulnerability in local security authority subsystem service (LSAS) could allow local elevation of privilege.
Yeah. So just another elevation of privilege, not unlike your kernel mode and kernel driver. Yeah, this one lets you run administrative code, essentially.
Yeah. And LSAS is, of course, a highly privileged process that manages security for other processes and stuff. So.
Yep.
Reasonably big deal, but a lot of importance, a couple of criticals. Definitely the IE patch is a big deal.
Yep.
And I think that's it for another month.
I think one more thing to add
that's
worth mentioning. Microsoft also released, I think they might have called it a security advisory, but it's a non-critical security update, or I don't know exactly how it's worded, but what they've done is taken the thumb drive auto run disabling that they released previously, but it was only in the download center, and they've now put it in Windows Update, so it's going to get pushed out to everybody, so it'll have the same functionality on XP in 2003 that you have on Windows 7.
And that really is important for enterprises, right? I mean, an enterprise should not allow auto run on thumb drives.
Enterprises, home users, when you look at malware propagation via auto run, it shouldn't be running on any thumb drive. So kudos to Microsoft for that one. That I'm really glad to see that that's going out to a wide user base.
Yep, totally. Thumb drives are the new floppy disks.
Yep.
What's old is new again.
Yep.
All right. On that note, let's wrap up here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.